of the things that we've said, beyond saying that we're going to make this a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus workers, beyond saying that we're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs, is also that we're going to provide $65 million in funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government threatened to pull out from local providers for that kind of work. And in this moment especially, if we want to fight the Trump administration, we have to do so by fully funding our own services, taxing the wealthiest New Yorkers and corporations here.
Without the tariffs, I mean, they also liked a thing called November 5th, November 6th, and November 7th. That was a very good little period of time. It's called the presidential election. You know, you used to have one-day election. Now you have it go over it. But even if you just took that little period, because it was pretty obvious it was going to be a landslide. And they like that, but they love the tariffs. I had Texas Instruments come in the other day, big company, and he said, we're putting in $60 billion into new plants and new equipment, new everything. Sir, you're going to keep the tariffs, aren't you? Because whoever took the tariffs off, and we are going to absolutely keep it. And they're worried that somebody that, like this communist from New York, someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York. But the rest of the country is revolting against.
Their candidate, he hasn't won yet, but he won the Democratic primary, Zohran Mamdani. So he's saying, I mean, this is incredible. He's vowed to kick the, quote, fascist ICE out of New York City, okay? So how do you intend to deal with that? Because I would guess there are going to be a lot of criminals and Iranian cells and whatnot in New York City. The job's not done there. What do you say to this guy?
Good luck with that. Federal law trumps him every day, every hour, every minute. We're going to be in New York City. Matter of fact, because it's a sanctuary city, President Trump made it clear a week and a half ago. We're going to double down and triple down on sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest a bad guy in a county jail, one agent arresting one bad guy, they release him in the streets like New York does every day. We got to send a whole team to look for this guy. And not only that, we're going to send additional teams to look for all the people they arrest. We're going to concentrate in sanctuary cities because we know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats back to the street. So we know we got a problem there. So we don't have that problem in Florida where most sheriffs work for us. So we're going to double up and triple up on New York. And not only are we going to send more agents to the neighborhood, we're going to increase worksite enforcement tenfold. If we can't arrest them in the jail,
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I cannot wait to get into this. What a show we have today. What's going on, family? I hope everybody that's tuned in right now that you are in good spirits, that you're well, healthy, you know, blessed, that things are going well for you guys and your family, your loved ones. That 2025 has been a great year for you so far, you know, and at the end of the month of June off on a good note, man. You know, time is going by fast. Do not take it for granted. You know, it's one love to the human race, and we're going to keep coming on here, keeping it real. But a lot of big things are happening in New York City. New York. They finna run everybody out of there. Already running everybody out of there. Yeah, they running everybody out of a lot of these places, man. But it didn't got so bad. They say Eric Adams, God dog, it is our only hope. They say that's our only hope, Eric Adams. Now they got this socialist communist candidate won the primary, and he has been breaking all the headlines. And now they're talking about all kind of things. He's caught up in this, that. He should be fully investigated. It's a lot going on. So we're gonna get into today's video. Let me know what you think of this candidate, Zohran Mohammed. I always pronounce his last name wrong. Y'all forgive me. You know, but and here's Eric Adams responding, and he says New York City is not a city of socialism. Oh boy.
Let me tell you something. This is a city not of socialism. No. I've been to socialist countries. This is a city where you could come as a dishwasher and you could own a chain of restaurants. This is a city where you can be a cab driver and then become a doctor. This is a city where you could go from homelessness to building housing. This is a city where you could be a young person who's dyslexic, a young person who was rejected, and eventually to be elected to be the mayor of the city of New York. This is the type of city we're in. This is not a city where you use idealism to state you're giving everything to everyone for free. There's no dignity in someone giving you everything for free. There's dignity in giving you a job so you can provide for your family and the opportunities that you deserve. So this is not a city of handouts. This is a city of hands up. We're going to lift up the city of New York.
They want him out of here so bad. Even 50 Cent, the rapper, 50 Cent says, he offers Zoran Mamdani. Did I say it right? Zoran Mamdani. He offered him $258,000 to get lost, and that was day before yesterday. So, and then we seen some report. I scrolled down earlier and seen that now he's offering $500,000, close to $500,000 for him to get lost. I don't know if that was true or not, but he did offer $258,000 to just get lost. We don't want you here in New York City. And we know how, what New York City is to 50 Cent. So, but oh boy, you just can't make this up. And then there's, they're talking about this FBI investigation. He's not a loyal American. He has said enough to justify an FBI investigation. He's a traitor. There's something deeper here. And this was coming off the Benny show. And I want to definitely check this out. Here's that clip summarized right here.
You talk about infiltration and communist infiltration. It seems like a really stark warning to New York that at the very least you have a candidate here who's played footsie with Hamas, according to his commentary. He's sang and rapped about supporting of 5 individuals who were criminally charged for sending money to Hamas, a terrorist organization.
Yeah, the rapper. He a rapper. And did y'all, man, them policies are seeing what he's proposing and promising to the people. Man, I really do think they ought to walk in there and put him in handcuffs. Man, and he was so proud saying that. I tell you, boy, these people here, man, deranged lunatics.
He himself is a Muslim. And I think there's a lot of people in New York saying, what the hell's happening to my city? In just a few short decades, we are here now at the precipice. You went viral, of course, Mr. Mayor, this week with just photos of you, side by side of you and Mamdani on the morning of September 11th. Here's one example. Some of the famous photos of you walking through the streets, taking charge, of course, after this terrorist attack, and just people saying, what the hell's, what's happened to this city? It does seem like alarming, and there are now members of Congress, one of them will be joining the show, Andy Ogles, who's saying perhaps we should denaturalize him or at least do an investigation into this because he lied and he has ties to terrorist organizations. Your thoughts on this, Mr. Mayor?
No, I think that's very responsible request and something government should do. Given the nature of the things that he says, I don't know that we can come to the conclusion or convict him of it, but he raises a real legitimate concern that he's not a loyal American and that he is working. The degree of his involvement in the things that Hamas believes, and the activities he engages in that are pro-Hamas, anti-American, and anti-Israel, to the extent of carrying their flag and burning ours,
a disgrace,
would suggest there's something deeper to it. And there is certainly enough that he's done and said that would justify an FBI investigation that he's a traitor. Therefore, you'd want to know what kind of connection is there. I mean, I did a lot of these investigations in the Soviet era. A guy would come out and start saying, all the professors at the Ivy League schools, even back then, were pro-Russia. But you'd look at the ones that spent a lot of time traveling there. You'd look at the ones that had come back and they go over the top and attacking America. And they were subjected to FBI investigations. Of course, Hoover got attacked for it, but they wanted to take us over. and they had a weapon that could destroy us. He was doing the responsible thing. And a lot of them weren't eventually put under investigation. But the fact that we investigated them got us an unbelievable amount of intelligence. And right now, we are seriously lacking intelligence. I am so worried about the people who did what I used to do. The way I look at it, I had about 90% more intelligence than they did. We have. It wouldn't be an exaggeration. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say we have anywhere from 3 to 6 million bad actors in this country, many of which are terrorists. And in fact, nobody can contradict that because nobody knows how many we have, and nobody knows who came in. Most of those people were not identified. The ones who were identified are a small minority. Even the ones we checked in, we never were able to check their background because Venezuela won't tell us, China won't tell us. Most of the African countries don't tell us. So the guy comes in and you say, are you a criminal? No. Are you a terrorist? No. How do I know? I call up Venezuela and they don't answer the phone. Maybe every once in a while we have our own criminal records, but those are sparse. They're not the kinds of things I would be used to. I did an awful lot of those checks and 90% of them worked. The 10% that didn't work, we didn't let them in. The burden was on you to show us that you weren't a criminal, not the other way around. See, there's no right to come into the United States.
Yes.
It's a privilege. And since the whole world can't come in, the only way to fairly distribute that among the people of the world are the ones that can most easily fit in and make us better.
There's another one I want to.
The term violent crime is even used when people are stealing.
Says stealing. So he basically said stealing isn't violence, but prosecuting burglary. So says burglary isn't violence, but prosecuting burglars is. What? Am I reading this wrong?
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree. We have.
What a complete lunatic, man. I'm telling y'all. I see why 50 Cent. Okay, so 50 Cent says, I'm not feeling this plan. No, I will give him $250,000 in a first class one-way ticket away from New York, the Queens rapper said. I never thought I'll say this, but Eric Adams is the only hope for New York City. Oh, man. This candidate, this Muslim communist, Zoran Mamdani, am I saying it right? Zoran Mamdani. I always say it wrong. I don't care. Yeah, he need to get his butt up out of here. This impacts all of America. Vote Eric Adams for New York City mayor in November. What y'all think, man? Eric Adams' only hope. Y'all let me know in the comment section. I seeing what that fella is, I agree. Eric Adams is the only hope, man. You know, and seeing how they did him and how they came after him after he started calling it out. Yeah, when he started calling out the corruption. Yeah, buddy, he fell in line real quick, huh? They got him good. But I know Matt had said something on this. I want to check it out. He says the New York Democrat is in hot water. Check this out.
It appears as if the progressive left's brand new communist poster child, New York mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, has just found himself in some hot water. You see, as you all know, Mamdani is a self-avowed communist who wants to turn New York City into a complete and total hellscape with his radically progressive policies. But folks, here's the deal. Mamdani's dangerous agenda is not just a local New York City problem. No, in fact, it is a direct threat to America's national security, and President Trump is not going to let it slide. But you know what? Take a look at this. Mamdani actually openly supports the terrorist group Hamas and lied about his ties to terrorism as well as communism when he became a U.S. citizen just 7 years ago. And so that is why Republican Congressman Andy Ogles is demanding that Attorney General Pam Bondi revoke Mamdani's citizenship and deport him back to Uganda, where he came from. But beyond that, President Trump himself could actually invoke the Communist Control Act of 1954 to stop this radically progressive terrorist-supporting communist dead in his tracks and keep him from ever becoming New York City's mayor. And if you want to know why shutting this guy down immediately is so important, take a look at this. Mamdani plans to pay for all of his insane communist policies by hiking taxes on, quote, richer and whiter neighborhoods, exposing his blatant anti-white racism.
Oh, man. And this is one of the things they had sent me yesterday. And thank y'all for sending me all kinds, because some of the things I had just found out about this guy just earlier this morning as well. I'm learning more and more about this socialist communist disgrace as more time goes by. I mean, man, we gonna walk your butt out of here, and I hope they do make an example out of you. Somebody got to be made an example out of, especially the way New York City has gotten. Yeah, we can't let this happen.
But ladies and gentlemen, as if all of that isn't bad enough, take a look at what he had to say on his recent appearance on CNN. Let it play.
So when people say democratic socialist, right? And I'm curious what you think this means. I mean, do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on, is dignity and taking on income inequality. And for too long, politicians have pretended that we're spectators to that crisis of affordability. We're actually actors, and we have the choice to exacerbate it, like Mayor Adams has done, or to respond to it and resolve it, like I'm planning to do.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Mamdani himself admits that he despises capitalism and wants to solve all of New York's problems with his communist, anti-American agenda. Here's the reality. Mamdani's radically progressive policies, like free handouts for illegal aliens, do nothing but screw over hardworking American taxpayers who actually contribute to society and play by the rules. And get this, Mamdani also plans, if elected, to release all of New York City's violent criminals out of prison and back onto the streets. Take a look.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we
that's
go
what I
into
just
these
showed
courts,
y'all.
the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree.
Ladies and gentlemen, very clearly, this guy is absolutely insane. He actually thinks that violent crime is just some sort of racist social construct. In truth, Mamdani's plan to empty New York's prisons of every single violent criminal is absolute madness that does nothing other than endanger everyday hardworking Americans. And on top of that, he also plans to block federal ICE agents from doing their jobs inside of New York City. Really, he just wants violent criminals and illegal aliens to run free through the streets of New York. But so, folks, I want you all to take a listen to what President Trump's border czar Tom Homan had to say about all of this. But first, I do want to say, because it really...
Yeah, but he won the Democratic primary, Zohran Mamdani. So he's saying, I mean, this is incredible. He's vowed to kick the, quote, fascist ICE out of New York City, okay? So how do you intend to deal with that? Because I would guess there are going to be a lot of criminals and Iranian cells and whatnot in New York City. The job's not done there. What do you say to this guy?
Good luck with that. Federal law trumps him every day, every hour, every minute. We're going to be in New York City. Matter of fact, because it's a sanctuary city, President Trump made it clear a week and a half ago. We're going to double down and triple down on sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest a bad guy in the county jail, one agent arresting one bad guy, they release him in the streets like New York does every day. We got to send a whole team to look for this guy. And not only that, we're going to send additional teams to look for all the people they arrest. We're going to concentrate in sanctuary cities because we know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats back to the street. So we know we got a problem there. So we don't have that problem in Florida where most sheriffs work for us. So we're going to just double up and triple up on New York. And not only are we going to send more agents to the neighborhood, we're going to increase worksite enforcement tenfold. If we can't arrest them in the jail, you're going to force them in the neighborhood, then we'll find them in the neighborhood. If we can't find them in the neighborhood, we'll find them at the worksite. So game on, we're coming.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Border Czar Tom Homan is vowing that ICE will override Mamdani's resistance, promising to flood New York City with hundreds or thousands of ICE agents in order to enforce federal immigration law. And let's be honest here, Mamdani's communist dystopia would absolutely destroy New York City, driving businesses and residents alike to flee to other states like Florida, which is thriving under America First policies.
Everybody out of there.
Mamdani's plan to slap higher taxes on the whiter areas of the city is nothing but another disgusting example of the progressive left's never-ending anti-white racist agenda. But you know what bothers me the most? Mamdani's rise is pushing New York towards total economic collapse, all while he hides all of his virtue-signaling progressive ideals. The reality is, Mamdani's radically progressive communist policies are not just reckless, and they are, but they are also a deliberate and explicit attack on everything that makes America great, from our country all the way down to our national safety. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is why President Trump's America First agenda is really the only way to save New York City from becoming a complete and total communist hellscape. So thank God that President Trump is back in the White House, and thank God that they are actively working to shut this guy down, because that is what it's going to take to finally make this country great again.